Hi, YouTubers. Hi, friends from YouTube. So I'm going live on both platform. I'm going live on YouTube and Instagram here. So today's topic that I want to discuss is going to be the top flexibility mistake we make in training. So it's going to be very interesting for you for taking notes, to know a little bit about my coaching style and also what I teach. I haven't been on YouTube for a long time, and I'm interested in creating some more content on this platform. So right now, like I said, I am being filming those lives on Instagram. So I'm gonna continue those for a while. But if you're interested in knowing a little more about what I teach and the knowledge that I have accumulated throughout my journey with flexibility, contortion, and weight training, this is the good platform to be. Welcome to my house. This is my living room in Miami. Today I have a strong light here because we're having like a big storm and it's pouring right now. So forgive me for this big light. You're gonna hear some thunderstorms too. And so let's start. I'm going live here and here. So enjoy. Welcome back, friends. How are you? Did you miss me? I know you missed me. I wasn't here last week, but I'm here now. So, hi, everybody. Welcome back to another Bendy Live. There's going to be a thunderstorm, and it's going very hard today. So, I have this big ass light in front of me, so it's going to feel like I'm going to get blinded by it. It's a lot of lighting here. But if I show you what's going on right now, there's like a hurricane. So let's just roll with this. So today's topic we're going to discuss is the biggest mistakes people make in flexibility. I'm talking about flexibility. I'm talking about contortion. I'm talking about beginner, intermediate, advanced. I made several of those mistakes myself. So I really try to, with these lives, to share my knowledge. So the more you know, the better you can train, avoid mistakes that took me years to learn. Nobody taught me. I had to learn it with my experience. So again, there's gonna be thunders in the back. So let's just roll with it. It's gonna be the mood of the day, and let's just fucking go. So, okay, there's no particular order. I'm gonna put this here. Do you hear this shit? There's not a particular order with these mistakes that I'm gonna talk about, but let's just go. They're all important. I'm gonna try to not get this live to be too long because there's so many mistakes to be made in this topic, in this field. Let's just start with the first one. So the first mistake people do is not having clear goals. So when you go into your flexibility journey, I really suggest you strongly to have a goal, as in two or three goals. Don't have too many goals. Don't like overwhelm yourself with all these things that you want to do. It's very hard to stay focused in the world we live in today. So if you're new to this journey, or even if you're advanced or intermediate, just have in mind always that your focus is between one or two or three goals. I'm like, keep it simple. If you're, let's say, just starting out, like, I want to do the split. That's it. I want to do a handstand. I want to do a bridge and a split. Like, just keep it simple for yourself, because if you complicate your life to like so early in the journey where you haven't really created like a foundation of habits, even when you have a foundation of habits, honestly, like, you don't want to overwhelm yourself, because there's going to be days that you're totally not inspired, you're not motivated to train, and you're going to think about your goal and be like, fuck, I have so many goals to achieve and it's not going to happen. You have to consider the days you're going to be really not motivated. And so the simpler you keep things, the simpler you keep your goals, the better it will be in the long run. So have simple, clear goals. I want this, this, this. Then once you achieve those goals, you're going to get new ones, because we're always in the process of evolution, and and getting better. And so you're going to get new goals as you go, but just have a few at a time. Okay. So that's the first mistake people do. Not clear goals and too many goals, or just not knowing what the hell they want to do with the flexibility. Like, why do you want flexibility? For what? Right? Just be clear about that. Now, the other mistake that I see a ton of time happening is people just think that starting to train flexibility or is gonna be just something they add on to something else. Again, that's a possibility if your flexibility goal is just, I wanna have a little more flexibility to help myself be a better power lifter or a better fighter, it depends what your main activity is. But usually, if you're feeling like I really want to go all in, I want to become a contortionist, or I just want to get as flexible as I can consider the flexibility to be just an add-on. And also you can consider the fact that you cannot have too many activities going on. Like, people forget that flexibility training is so demanding, and so like it takes so much of your energy and time, and it's such a slow process to achieve that you can't have too many sports going on. So people that would start training flexibility, they're doing pole dancing, they're doing I don't know, they're doing some other type of dance, they're going to the gym, then they're going to do I don't know, boxing. Like, they do a lot of things, and then they're like, and I want to start stretching. Again, it all depends by the goal. That's why it's so important to have a goal. But like, if you really want to see how far you can go in your journey with flexibility, you gotta narrow it down. Like, your body, especially the older you get, your body just doesn't have it. Like, it does not have the ability to deal with a lot of activities. You can't do it all and do it shitty, right? Like, people like do a lot of things not well. For me, it's like, just pick one sport, one activity, and go for it. But don't just have a million things happening at the same time. You have to prioritize, and we're going to talk about prioritizing after. But just have clear goal, and don't train too many things all the time. Just narrow it down. You should have 2 sports, 2 disciplines, 2 practices, tops, 3 maybe. The older you get, the less your body is able to learn and manage things. So you have to have, that's gonna be your thing. You just pick the thing that you love and stick to it, and that's gonna be your thing. Don't have, you have to sacrifice some things. You can do it all, to be honest. So that's it. That's number 2. Now, the third one, this is like something that I see often, is people have too many coaches. So, or they don't have coaches, or they don't pick a coach that's really good for them. So what does that mean is, you can have too many coaches, and then therefore this happened, that one coach and the other coach, then they're telling you something they're opposite. So let's say you have a coach for weight training, you have a coach for flexibility, you have a coach for handstands, you have a coach for pole dancing. And so you have the influence of a lot of minds. You have the influence of a lot of people. Even the people could be extremely knowledgeable, but they know their thing. They don't know their thing in relation to your other activities. They just know one way of, that's all they do, right? Usually, personal trainer knows weight training in the weight room. Sometimes knows a little bit about the sports, but then he's not going to know a lot about flexibility to contortion training. Same thing as a contortionist is not going to know what to do at the gym. Sometimes they don't, but like me, you know. But I mean, you know what I mean. And then if you do a handstand coach, what type of handstand is he teaching you? Are you doing Russian style? Are you doing Chinese style? Are you doing Mongolian style? Are you doing straight back? Are you doing hollow back? Are you doing back bends? Like, what type of handstand are you learning? So the thing is, I'm not telling you not train with all your coaches. You might have a lot of coaches that you love, but like, remember that you have to kind of commit yourself to one school of thought. When I started training with my coach, I was like, she's my coach. I'm not gonna go around, because, well, first of all, I choose a coach also based on the fact that for me it was very important to meet someone that knew how to train adults' body. Because at the time I trained flexibility, I started my journey with contortion flexibility, I was 27. So I was not a little girl. And I needed someone with experience with an adult body, like a tall body. I had like a certain proportion. Like I couldn't train the same way with a coach that had experience with kids because that's very limiting to their body. So for me, I wanted to have a coach that was a contortion, Mongolian contortion based. So I chose Mongolian contortion because I really like the style of Mongolian contortion. There's other styles. There are Chinese. I guess there's also Russian style. Like I really like the Mongolian school, so I went for that. But also for me, it was important to find a coach that had experience with adult body. So that's also what I was saying about choosing a coach is very important. So having too many coaches is not good. Having the coach that's not right for you is not good. But how are you gonna know if it's right for you? You're gonna have to ask the right question. And also knowing what you want. If you go is I want to perform, then you're gonna look for a coach that has experience with performing, that was a performer themselves. If you want a coach that is a specialist in adult body, you're gonna look for that. You're gonna ask those questions. You're gonna ask what are the students she's training or he's training. If you want a coach that specializes in anatomy and just has a certain style that you really like just do a little research. But I strongly suggest to get a coach, find one that you really can dedicate to and train with, and and he gets to know your body. That's the other thing. When you keep jumping around, the coaches doesn't have the time to really get to know your body alone. Like and then you start training different things with different people and the body get very confused. And I think one of the biggest problem people have when they do flexibility training is the body gets a lot of stimulus from different ideas and coaches and they get confused and you don't improve because a coach is telling you to do this way, the other coach is telling you to do that, and you get very confused and you don't know where. So find a coach that you like the style and the background and ask the right question, have experience with someone like you. And also, please do not train contortion without a coach because there are some things in life that you can do self-taught. You can teach yourself for sure, but contortion is not one of those. I mean, you can get hurt, you can really fuck up your back, your body. Like, you have to have a coach. So that's the other thing. I'm gonna start going on with this list because fuck, it's gonna be 2 hours of this. Okay, the other biggest problem is people experience is the black and white mentality. So the black and white mentality is basically like it's either I do this perfectly, like my training is to go, I gotta do all this thing, I'm gonna push so hard, or I don't do it. So this is a big one, and honestly, you gotta get off that train of thought because you're not going nowhere with that mentality. Like the black and white mentality, you can't just train super hard one day and then skip a week because you couldn't find the time, the day wasn't perfect, my back was hurting, like this was happening, and then I had to go to the whatever. Like, no. Training is based on repetition and consistency. Your body doesn't even matter how you're doing it. If it's shitty day, if it's average, if you're pushing, if you have to show the fuck up. Like that's the one thing you gotta do. I don't care what you're going through. You show up on the fucking mat, girl, like or guy. You have to show your face. You feel bad, you show up. You don't feel good, that's the same thing. Uh, you show up. You're in your head. You have no time. I have 30 minutes to stretch today. I'm like, I don't care. You show the fuck up. And this is the biggest lesson that I learned having a coach. I just would show up even when I was like, especially the beginning. I was like, my back was not like recovering well. I was sore as fuck, and I was like, but I never want to like to my coach to think I wasn't showing up because Mongolians can be very like straight, too straight. So I really wanted to prove her that I'm good. I'm gonna come in no matter what. I'll show up to the class. So I really learned that was huge because there's so many times you don't want to train, you feel like it's gonna suck, and then you have like, actually I could do this. Like it wasn't that bad. Like you got out of your head and into the mat and you did it. And there's so many times, I'm telling you, 8 times out of 10 that happened to me that I'm like, I don't want to fucking do this. And then it ended up being a pretty good session or a pretty decent session. Or there are those 2 times out of 10 that it sucks, but I'm like, I would never regret training. I would never regret training. I would never say like, oh shit, I wish we didn't train today. Like No, it always adds on to your puzzle. I call it the puzzle. Like it's always a little piece that you add on. It adds up to your like determination, your discipline. It builds your character. So no black and white mentality. It's not always gonna be perfect. It's actually never gonna be perfect. Let me tell you. So just show up. No black and white mentality. Now, the other issue here is people. This is kind of something that I kind of touched base earlier. Is people don't make this training a priority. They don't make flexibility, contortion training a priority. And to be honest, it has to become part of you, part of your lifestyle, part of what you do. It has to be important because it's so easy to skip a session. It's so easy to like just get distracted and just jump into something else. And it has to be a religion. Like sometimes I make this weird like comparison about like I feel like this is my religion sometimes. I'm not a religious person per se, like I'm a spiritual person, sure, but I don't have like a religion. Uh, but I compare it to like I'm so devoted to this practice. So I make it a priority, right? Like if I have to choose like am I going to party last night? I could have gone party, but I know Sunday is my big training day. I don't party Saturday nights. I party Friday. No, I don't party much anymore. Anyway. But you know what I mean? Like it's part of like it's so important. So it's prioritized. It comes before a lot of things in my life. Like it's up there. So my training is up there, and therefore my life it's a little bit shaped around this priority. So if you have a passion and you want to really do this, by the way, this applies to everything in life. You have a business you want to grow, you want to write a book, you want to like become the best version of yourself. That shit needs to be here, and your life will it revolves around that big vision you have. Sometimes I don't feel like my vision is there. Sometimes I feel confused about life. Sometimes I don't know, like you have these weird days, right? Like I don't know, like what's gonna be coming next. But I always have that anchor, that priority in my mind. I'm like, no matter what happened, I go back there. I go back to this devotion, this training, this practice that it always ground me. And there's always a lot of clarity coming from it. And so just make what you love of your priority, being like a sport, being building your business, writing a book. I don't know what else is there. There's a lot of things. Having a family, anyway, just prioritize what you want it to grow. That's the only way it's going to grow. You just have to make a priority. So I'm going also live on YouTube, guys. So I mean, there's only one person or two, but I just cross platform doing now. I'm just going crossing. What the fuck am I saying? Anyway, let's go back to the next point. Okay, so this other point is, dude, this is like, guys, you gotta stop. People calling me right now. Don't call me. People calling me right now. Don't call me during a live. Anyway, so we're back. So, guys, this is another mistake that happens a lot. People train too light. Guys, you gotta get the fuck out of this comfort zone at some point. At some point. First, you're a beginner. This might not apply to you. You just wanna get the groove going. You wanna get like the feeling, just getting used to the stretch, the discomfort. It's very uncomfortable to train flexibility at the beginning. Your fight or flight system kicking in. There's gonna be a lot of resistance, mental resistance, physical resistance. So I'm not telling you you're gonna already be uncomfortable at the beginning. But a lot of people make this mistake where they just stay comfortable. Like they don't push, or like they don't know how to, I call it play with the edge. My friend Andrea, she came up with this term. I really like it because playing with the edge means there are times, more often than not, where you gotta go close to the limit. Like you have to go to the point you're like, fuck, this is kind of scary. Like you gotta cross the fear. You gotta push a little bit deeper. And I call it like, we call it play with the edge. It's like, am I gonna die or not? Like I'm kidding. I mean, maybe. No, I'm kidding. But I'm really going far. Like I can tell I'm crossing that obstacle, that fear, and then you'll be like, shit, I opened there's another door here. It's fucking there's a lot of space to go. So once you cross that limit, which 9 out of 10 is a mental limit, let me tell you. Because your mind will play games. Your mind is just the biggest game there is in life. Your mind is just this labyrinth of shit. And also great things. But you have to really be willing to get a little out of your comfort zone more often than not. Because if you're staying comfortable all the time, sure, you can get to a place and it's like, I'm just gonna maintenance here, I'm just gonna stick around and not go any further. But yeah, it's just you gotta push a little bit harder sometimes. Now, this is something that also can get into the hand of go hand in hand with not training frequently enough, um, not training hard enough or intensely enough, that pushing the edge, like playing with the edge. And then there's a flip side of it, which is you don't fucking rest, or you just doing way too much. Like, now that it's, I think that's a little more rare, but I've seen people that are like, dude, you gotta take a day off sometimes. Like, because also remember, are you doing this for the short term? Are you trying to get into the circus? I don't know. You wanna audition for Cirque du Soleil? You're gonna fucking train every day like a motherfucker for 7 hours a day. That's not my niche, honestly. My niche is more like, this is a lifestyle. Like, we're training until we're 99 years old. Okay, so maybe 100. But lifestyle means that there's gonna be phases. There's gonna be phases throughout the years. You're gonna be the year that it's a year you're pushing more, then there's a year of more maintenance, and then there's another year you're gonna learn more into hand balancing, and then you're gonna go less deep because your strength is increasing, and then you go back to going deep because you wanna perform for that year. It's gonna be like this, but you can't go hard as a motherfucker for like years. I mean, unless you're 15 and you want to train 10 years straight, you can do 10 years straight if you're 15, but I'm not 15. So that's the point. I mean, training too lightly, not training frequently enough, not playing with the edge, just being comfortable, like, oh, this hurts, I'm going to go back. No, you gotta feel it. Just feel the discomfort and be curious about it. Sometimes I'm training and I'm like, I'm going there, I'm going like, this is hard. Like, I'm exploring it. Like, I'm not breathing that good. The fear is coming up, and I'm entering this dark tunnel. It's like, where the fuck am I going? Like, I don't know what's on the other side, right? But then I've trained my mind around this feeling. I train my mind around, like, calm down. You've been here before. You're in control. You just have to breathe and just. It's funny because you're in control, but you also have to relax. So it's like it's a weird place to be because you control, but there's a relaxed control. I always talk about this relaxed control. When you hold a handstand, there's this relaxed control. Like, I'm controlling my body, but my mind is very clear and calm. So the body is active and strong and present, and the mind is light and calm. And this is, I think, every peak athlete knows this feeling. Some people call it being in the zone, but it's this very magical place that's very hard sometimes to repeat because we get in our head all the time, right? That's the biggest thing. So that's the other mistake we do. I lost count, so I'm gonna keep going. Now, this is almost a cliche. I'm gonna say this one because, guys, you just know this better. But even if you know about this, you're still inconsistent motherfuckers. You gotta stick to this shit. So, not being consistent, right? Consistency, it's probably, I'm not kidding, it's probably the most important thing in anything. Consistency. It's so hard. Why? Because we're victim of our moods. We're victim of so many motherfucking distractions we live in, and we're victim of getting bored and I don't want to do this now. Like, maybe I don't like it as I thought I liked it. No, that's why I always tell my student, you gotta, you have to create a system of habits, like a strong system of habits that you're relying on an automatic behavior. Why? Because when you rely on automatic behavior, you don't have to think about it. It's almost like brushing your teeth. Do you like to do that? I mean, I don't care. Like, yeah, sure. But it's, you do it. You don't think about it. It's the same as training. I would say, like, consistency is not it's not going to happen because you're motivated. Maybe 1 out of 10 times you're really motivated to train, but like consistency happen because of something becomes a habit. So people are not consistent. That's probably the number one thing that I keep encountering with my clients. That's why you need a coach, right? You need someone to keep you on your toes and relying on, because people, it's hard to be consistent. It's not you, it's everybody. I'm hard to stay consistent with other things. I wish I was the same way I'm with my training with a lot of other things in my life, but I'm not consistent with other. I mean, I'm a pretty consistent person, but there are things I'm like, wow, I can tell I'm not consistent here as much as I want it, right? So the consistency is crazy. People train super hard, then they take breaks, and then they train again, and then for a week they don't train. I'm like, I rather listen to me. I rather you train okay often than I train so good today and then you don't train for a week or two. It will take you further to train often but average. It will take you further to train more often, more consistent than but average, then train so good one day and then yeah, I didn't train last week because I had to travel and yeah, you're gonna have to travel sometimes. And like you can bring a mat and a block and train in your hotel room one day. I mean, sometimes you can take a vacation, sure, but like don't start your life with excuses all the time. Like you gotta make some adjustment here and there if you really wanna grow something, right? Flexibility, strength, whatever it is that's important. It needs a lot of nourishment. It needs a lot of attention and energy, and it needs this consistent effort. It's this. I wish there was a magic solution. Like take you a pill. People always make fun of how I say pill. How do you say pill? I mean a pill. Take a pill, and I'm flexible forever. I'm like, no. Everybody will be flexible at this point, right? So, thanks for the love. See you. Okay, now coming back to the list. Now this is another point that, yeah, I used to do that. So people make this mistake, which is training just for depth rather than training for endurance. And I'm talking flexibility, like endurance. What's endurance and flexibility? I'm gonna explain you. So there are two aspects to flexibility training, contortion training. There's the depth, which how deep can you go? How much of a split can you do? How much of an oversplit can you do? How deep your back can extend? You know, how much your shoulder can flex? How deep can you go? Hi, mom. How deep can you go? Which is good. Like I was all about depth. I was a depth junkie. Like I just want to go deep. It's all I want to do. It's all deep, 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 which takes you to a lot of passive, which also can be, hi Don, also can be a problem. Too much passive, too much depth, you get weak, number one, and then you don't have endurance. So what's endurance? Endurance is how long can you be in that stretch? How long can you hold that pose? Can you do a combination of poses? Do you have that endurance? Can you go deep or can you stay there? Can you stay longer? Can you hold the handstand longer or you just have the handstand and come out? So people don't really hold poses long enough when I teach the warm-ups too. Even a warm-up, you can't hold it like at 5 seconds. Like, girl, you gotta get there. Just stay there. How long? I don't count minutes. Usually I tell people, whenever your body is letting go, that's the end of the stretch. If it takes me 10 minutes, I mean, you're going to stay 10 minutes in a stretch, but I mean, it takes what it takes. Sometimes in a lunge, and I'm sitting in a lunge for a couple of minutes. I'm like, I don't know, my body doesn't let go, and I wait. I don't count. Sometimes I count, but like most of the time, I'm just letting go of the body. You have to like sit in the stretch, feel the discomfort, just be familiar with it. It's gonna end. When it really hurts something, which is not the hurt. I mean, I'm talking about discomfort. It should never hurt. Like I'm fucking hurting, you know. Like it's more like discomfort. When it's discomfort is there, just be in it and just tell yourself it's gonna end. I just have to be here now, and just breathe in it. Breathe in it, and just the more you breathe in it, the more you're like accepting it, and it's just gonna fade away. When you're present with the pain, you face it and you're like, okay, this is it. I'm feeling it. And then you know you're getting out of it. So it's just, you just normalize it. It's weird. Like you just look in the face of the pain. You're like, I see you, motherfucker. We're here. We're both here. Like I'm going to win over though, because I'm not afraid of you. I'm just going to be there with you until you get the fuck out of it. So You know what I mean? You like my little explanation of what is happening in training. Okay, so that's the thing. You gotta train both depth and endurance, not just go deep as fuck for a second. You gotta train. What about staying a little less deep but longer? That's the other point. So this is, oh my god, there's so many girls. I thought this is. I mean, I think I can make it. There's five more, I think. So this is another one that's very important. You are gonna make this big mistake when you don't have non-negotiables or a golden minimum. It's gonna be a problem. Why? Because so the non-negotiable, what are they? Those are like a terminology that I came up with where I consider non-negotiable the set of exercise, the set of poses that they are the building blocks of your goal poses or goal tricks or goal transition you want to have. And those one you cannot remove them from your training ever, which is a lot of warm-ups that I consider those non-negotiables. But what it means is if you're having the worst day ever with training, you're still gonna do those. You're like, how am I gonna, well, you're choosing non-negotiable means their exercise, like I said, partly they're usually warm-ups or some easier poses that they're a constant, they're your normal, they're your normal baseline. You're always practicing them. You have a terrible day, you're gonna do the bridge. You're fucking hurting. I mean, I guess unless you have an injury, you have to adapt some things around there, of course, but your non-negotiable are like the building blocks, and they need to be practiced a lot of over and over and over. They're like the foundation. You don't skip them. Whatever's happening, the world is ending. You're just gonna be on your mat doing stretches while the world is falling apart. You are showing up for those, and the golden minimum is pretty much the same thing. It's like showing up, knowing that you have a 30 minutes. You'll be like, what is my golden minimum of the day? Like, I just want to get these three things done. Like, I have three stretches. I'm just gonna do my warm-ups. Like, I golden minimum, non-negotiable. It's kind of like the same concept in a way, and you just have to have it in your mind. Like, I know when I have like the board sessions, in my mind, I know what I gotta do, and I know also how to regress a pose. Like, if I cannot do a certain type of handstand because my back is just not having it or something's happening, I just have the non-negotiable in my session is handstand. Like, I have to do handstand. Like, I can't skip it, but I'll have a regression of something that's a little simpler, or I'll hold it a little less. Like, you help yourself, but you still do the non-negotiable. You still do the golden minimum. That's the point. Okay. Now, the other part that's very important, and this is a quick one, and you'll be surprised. I'm surprised by this, but 99.9% of people, they don't know how to warm up. Like, I'm like, you just gonna do a bridge to warm up your back? Like, what? How? Like, what's happening? I mean, you have to take in consideration. This is also from a point of view of someone that I have not natural flexibility in my back. I mean, my back doesn't bend, just bending. I mean, now maybe after 12 years of contortion, I can do a cold bridge. Doesn't feel good, but I'm talking about people that like an average normal flexibility. If you are naturally flexible, you might warm up with a bridge, and that shit is good for you. And I mean, fuck, I'm fucking envious. I'm jealous of that. But I'm talking about normal people, normal adult bodies that doesn't have much of a background with any gymnastic or, that's what I'm talking about, right? So you need to know how to warm up. Like, your body needs to have a set of exercise, a set of poses, dynamic flexibility, some like circumduction, like warming up those joints, like gradually getting your body prepared is crucial. And people don't, I don't know. I've seen so many people that just like, I don't know how to warm up. And they're trying to do a split, and they do a split to warm up a split. I'm like, it's not gonna work like that. So, okay, so that's not knowing how to warm up, and also poor form. I would say it goes with it. Like, that's another part of it. Like, people just they have a poor form, especially when they're self-taught. And I'm like, this is why you don't get self-taught, because your eyes don't see what another person see, especially when it comes to your body. Like, you need an outside viewer. Like, oh, your hips are not square. Oh, you're actually crooked. Oh, your shoulders off. One is lower than the other one. Your legs. are not even. Like, you're never going to notice those things. If you're a beginner, you're not going to notice these things, even if you're at more intermediate, because you need someone from the outside to look at you. Even if you're going to do videos of yourself, it's hard to have a critical eye. You think that's what you know, and you think that's what is good, and it's not. So, poor form, it happens. It's not good, guys. Gotta fix up that form. Now, this one, I used to do this one. I used to do that one a lot. I was doing so much passive work. Everything was passive for me. I was pushing, pushing, pushing. I became so weak and I got hurt. That's how it goes usually. Push, push, push. Your body's made of tissue that breaks. Like, you're gonna push the muscle, like stretch, stretch, stretch. Don't warm up good. Don't strengthen the muscle. It's gonna hurt. This is how majority of injuries are formed, and this is how it happens. So too much passive and weak muscles. That's what I used to do, and I only healed from my injuries by adding active work, conditioning, and strength training. Also, this goes on. This is a big one, by the way. This one, next one, it goes with the same thing that I said. The flip side is some people start activating and doing a lot of active and strengthening work when it's too early. What does that mean? If you have a very tight upper back, you're gonna start like doing a lot of strengthening, like a lot of like shoulder work and a lot of back activation. Granted, it's needed, but you haven't built enough of a passive foundation. Where I feel like the passive foundation means the room. You gotta like create space in the joint, in the muscle. You gotta lengthen those muscles. If they naturally are tight and you activate on top of it, first of all, your range of motion in active will be very limited. Because if you're tight to begin with, you got no range, girl or guy. Like, we gotta open up that fucking back or those hips. Like, you can start doing a lot of leg activation and ankle weight work, and if you got no room in there, you gotta open up a little more with the passive. You gotta like really create that space. Once you create a little more range of motion through the passive, now we can activate some more. So it's a little tricky, but I feel sometimes people, they get so like taken away by the word like, oh, active flexibility. It's like a trendy word in the flexibility world, I guess. But you gotta be ready for it. You can't do too much active too soon, or it's just gonna tighten you up. And again, you're gonna need some things like rotator cuff work, sure. Those like prehabbing exercise with the band, with light weights. Okay, we're good. But be careful if you're like tight upper back and you do a ton of handstands straight back. Guess what your body's learning? Oh, straight back, strong shoulder, flat upper back. Cool. I'm talking about upper back because it's so easy to have that one to be not bendy, and also it's a very hard part of the body to bend because naturally it doesn't even curve. It doesn't even want to go in extension, right? What's the name of this curve? I forgot. Concave, convex. I forgot. But anyway, the upper back naturally just already doesn't want to do extension, right? And then on top of it, you just train it to be super hard and straight. Same thing with hips. Like if you're training a ton of legs at the gym and you don't have the split yet, you gotta ease up into the weights. It's not the time yet to strengthen those legs too much, right? So, okay, I'm almost done, guys. It's going good. 10 minutes. Now, this is a really important one. They're all important. I keep saying that. I was like, this is very important. Like, bitch, you said it before. It's very important. Everything is very important that I'm saying today. So this one is very important because I deal with it still today. Is one of the biggest mistakes we have in flexibility when we're trying to be flexible is not knowing how to deal with bad days mentally. And what I mean by that is that it's so easy to get to talk yourself down, right? Well, besides, it's easy to talk yourself down even when you're having a decent day, let alone when you have a bad day. It's the easiest thing ever. I suck. I'm not good. I should just quit. What the fuck is happening? I'm horrible. this is so common. So don't feel like you're alone in this. Like everyone does that. Everybody's so critical. We're so quick to talk ourselves down. And that's probably like the hardest thing to fix, because this is like a very deep level of like a self-talk, and like almost like an unconscious level. We're having this communication, we're making fun of ourselves, like what do you think you're doing today? Like this is something you have to really watch, because especially when you're having a bad day, remember, go back to the non-negotiable. Tell yourself, you know what? I'm just gonna do what I can, and it's gonna have. I know I'm gonna have a better day eventually, because the good day always come back. It's like the sun, like right now, fucking cloudy and thundery, but the sun is behind the clouds, so it's coming back. So just remember your golden minimum, your non-negotiable. Just have a session where today I'm gonna go easy on myself. I'm telling you this because I'm strict to myself. So sometimes I gotta tell you, bitch, you gotta just chill the fuck out. Like today, just be nice to yourself. Have a little grace, just breathe and do what you can, and then there's gonna be better days, right? So that training mentally to not kill yourself, put yourself down, it's so important. I struggle myself still. Sometimes I'm like, I'm so used to do it. Like I'm so years and years of talking myself down or just judging myself and being so hard on myself. That's why sometimes I'm telling you, there are people like me that those are the people that need sometimes to chill with training, because we get like OCD mentality, like obsessive compulsive disorder mentality, like we get obsessed over the goal. And some people are like that. You have to step back and be like, I still need to respect my body. Like my body is doing a lot for me, and today he's not having a good day, and it's fine because there's always a better day. So this is very important that you keep in mind, because it's gonna happen. You can't get away from it. Like you're gonna have days where it's not going. And so remember, non-negotiable. Be a little softer on yourself and still show up. Still showing up, guys. It's not like, oh, but I mean, there's been times that you're like, listen, if I come over this training to tomorrow, like you gotta train tomorrow. Like I'm just lying to myself. There are times you're like, you know what? I'd rather switch my rest day because today I'm just like, I'm just not having it. Like, fine. But this is why I like weekly training, to have people on top of their shit, because okay, you didn't train Tuesday, okay, you gotta switch it to Thursday, but you're gonna do it, right? If there's 3 sessions of flexibility a week, I don't care what you gotta turn around, but you're gonna show up with it. Um, yeah, if you have a question, I might just answer it. I don't think it's possible, but for this question, they asked me if you can get a longer neck if you stretch it. The neck is what it is. You had, is it 7 vertebrae? It's it. Like you can get more flexible or not, but it's not gonna get longer just because you stretch it, right? So that was a question that I received. Now, the last 2 that I'm gonna do here is actually there's 3, but they're quick. The last one is quick. Okay, so this one is one people mistake. I cannot even talk. One mistake people do with flexibility training is just not trusting in the process. I know this is such a cliche. My bitch, don't tell me that. Like I've heard this a million times. I mean, it's so true. You gotta have like such a strong trust in that what you're doing is working, and you don't see it yet, but it's coming. It's this knowingness. It's like embodying the certainty that if I don't stop, I'll just get there. And at the meantime, I'm gonna enjoy this process. Why? Like enjoy the process? Really? You're gonna tell me first trust the process and enjoying it too? Yes, because if you're not enjoying it, what's the point of it? Because you're gonna get to your goal, and then well, guess what? If I come to you today and this is your goal, you're happy now? You're like, yeah, I'm happy for 10 minutes. And then I'm like, okay, what else? What do I want now? Because our nature is to always want what we don't have or want more things. But remember, it's such a fucking loop game, because eventually you get what you want. Like I got all the tricks I wanted, all of them, even the one that I would never imagine I could do. And now I'm still like, okay, what else can I do? Like, how can I improve? Like, what can I? It's our nature to always look for the next thing, but you have to remember that your life is happening in the chase of your dream, that's when life is happening. This is your life, it's happening. So you have to enjoy it because the process is priceless. It's give you the lessons. There's like those little things that, you have a bad day. I had a client the other day, she said, like, I had a really hard time, but I had a small victory. And I love that because that's the whole point of training. It's just having those small learning. Sometimes like I'm training and I just learned, the other day I learned something about like just the hand position, and I just externally rotated my shoulder. It's just a slightly bit more. And I was like, wow, this was a whole lessons of like a 1 inch difference. And that was my whole lessons for the day. Like there are so many good things about learning and enjoying the process and trusting the process that I know it's hard because people like we want the things now, we want to look at the result, we want to see it like in real life. But most of life is unseen. You have to remember that even things you don't see them, they're coming to you. They're happening. It's just in the process of happening. You don't see them yet. So you just have to trust that it's happening. It's coming. So remember, most of life is unseen. So even your split, your back bend, it's in the process. It's like in the oven. The cake is in the oven. Just it's not eating it yet, but just let it cook. Just fucking wait. It's happening. It's cooking. It's coming. So just have a little more patience, which is actually the next point. You see that what I did here? Be patient. You have to have patience. This is a slow ass process. It's the same as growing your hair. It's that slow. I'm like, seriously? Like that slow? Yes. So the flexibility is such a thing that you gotta like be okay with patient. It teaches you so much about like not you can't be in a rush with this. There's nothing that lasts long and is quick in this world, and flexibility is probably at the top of the list. So you gotta have patience, embrace the journey, trust the process, trust in yourself. Like you're so much more powerful than you think. You're so capable. You're so able. You just gotta give yourself a little chance. Just be a little bit more of a supporter of yourself. Don't always look for other people to support you. Just fucking be your own fan. Like, be your biggest fan. And this is more like a self-talk that I'm doing to myself. I'm like, all these things that I'm saying, I'm kind of like, I'm better reapplying it to me, right? Because sometimes, like I said, we're so hard on ourselves, and we really need that. The biggest support we need is from us instead of like, is everybody seeing this? Like, can I get some support? I'm like, you need it from you, girl. Like, ask it yourself. Give it yourself. Give yourself that support. And then the last one, I was kidding. There's two more. God damn, we're gonna get off this live now. Like, if you're gonna get off, I get it, guys. But it's two more. One is huge mistake, and I blame it on this freaking platform here, which I'm thankful for, but sometimes it's so tricky to not compare yourself. Said it. Comparison is a big mistake because nobody is exactly going through what you're going. Nobody has your background, nobody has your body, nobody has your proportion, nobody has you're unique in a way. So comparing yourself, unless you're getting inspiration from that type of comparing, oh, she's got that or he got, I wanna work on that too. Okay, you got like an inspiration from a comparison, but most of the time we just get ourselves down, right? So don't compare yourself. It's hard, I know. Limit yourself online if you have to. Just fall in love with your process, with your uniqueness. Like just protect that and don't let anybody get in the way of it. And I'm thankful for having started this training when there was not a lot of social media, because I think social media has added a lot of knowledge and inspiration, but also on the flip side, there's a lot of comparison, people posting their best moments, of course, and we put ourselves down with it. So I talked about this already, so I'm not gonna get into it, but comparison, right? Just check on that. Try not to catch yourself doing it, right? Like if you catch yourself, it's like, okay, nope, this is not my journey, this is not me. Good to know this person's doing that, but I am different. I have other goals, other body types, other background, other age, other things going on in my life that I want to do, other goals. So now the last two things here are, did I say there was last two earlier? It's true, there's two more and it's finished. I swear, there's no more. Okay. I should have said this one earlier because this one is so important. more important than not. But anyway, what does that mean? I don't know. So people, they just not only remember the second point that I made, that people train too many activities, too many sports, too many disciplines, too many things. Also within their session, they just there's too much variation. They don't have a structure. You have to structure your training. So this is the mistake. Having too much variation, just going in your session with just like, I don't know what I'm gonna do today. I wanna try this. Oh, I saw that, I'm gonna try that. No. For once you have your non-negotiable, right? Your non-negotiable is the foundation of your training, which is part of your warm-ups, part of your conditioning, part of your basic poses in level one, the courses that I teach in September. The non-negotiables that you gotta know how to grab your foot in lunge, you gotta know how to do a cobra and a bow pose, which is grabbing your feet with two hands. Then you gotta do a bridge and you gotta do a chest, and those are your non-negotiable poses for level two. Level one. Level two, we have a hand balancing pose too, and then what do we have? We have two different chest and types, hand balancing pose and a standing split. Those are like the adds-on for level two. Those are your non-negotiable, and those are poses you keep coming back to it. Now, you're gonna have a lot more knowledge as you go, so you're gonna be like I know a lot of poses now, and I'm like, how am I gonna train them all? Well, guess what? You don't train them all. You train the non-negotiable, which within them they contain a lot of poses. Like if you train big poses like a chest stand has within it so many other poses. And what does that mean? It's like because chest stand is such an advanced pose, I'd rather you train the hardest trick more often than the cute one, the picture you saw there, like the little girl doing the thing. Like I tried this one, those are all accessory poses. Like I consider the basics non-negotiables, the core, like your bread and butter, like your foundation, and then there's all the accessories. Like I'm gonna do bow pose with one leg straight, one bend, and I'm gonna turn my head, and I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna cross my arms and do. Those are all the variation. You can create a million freaking variation, but you cannot always variate your training. Oh, today I'm bored. No, you have to have structure. You have to have a plan. That's what I have my clients with. We put a plan. We have their non-negotiable, and the goals are connected with their non-negotiable. We choose the non-negotiable based on their goals. Same with strength training, same with flexibility. The same thing happened with my courses in September. If you're interested, you can check them in my bio. I have 2 levels, and we work on building the foundation. And then within the foundation, you can play, you can add the different poses, you can do the accessories, poses, and all that. But like the foundations are those: the bridge, the lunge, the foot grab, the hand balancing, one handstand. You gotta balance on your hands, you gotta balance on your elbow, a forearm, you gotta do a split. Like those foundation poses, they will give you all you want if you keep nurturing them instead of jumping around because I want to train this thing today and this thing today. No, your body needs drilling of the hard moves, drilling, and everything else comes with it. It's like someone gives you a box and you're like, oh, it's just a box. No, bitch, open the box. There's a lot comes with this box. It's not like I'm giving you an empty box. The box of the basic contains a million other things in it. But if you just want the little ribbon, well, this is it. You just got the ribbon. You got no box. That was a good one, right? I don't know if you got it. Maybe everybody got it. I got it. I understood it. Okay, the last one. We're done. I talk so much. Is your training is not going to go nowhere if you are not managing your stress, if you're not sleeping well, and you're not training, you're not eating correctly. You're not, eating correctly or drinking enough water. So those things it's a big reminder that training, you need a holistic approach to training. So you could train the best, have the most structured training, the best coach in the world, the best mindset on the planet. But if you sleep nothing, you don't eat well, you're dehydrated, and you're like emotional stress is out of the roof, your training will suffer and you're not going to advance. So if you're caring about your progress, you'll care about your life as a whole. That's the best part of training, and the thing that I talk about often is it all comes down to the whole picture, right? It's like you cannot really just isolate this. This is a whole approach. You need to include everything in your life to make your training thrive, to make the flexibility advance, to really enjoy this process of learning and improving. If you love to be flexible, you're gonna love to sleep, you're gonna love to eat healthy, you're gonna love to support your system, your body, and your emotional health. I cannot, press it enough how important it is also to really care and tend to your emotional health, because your body will like stop. It will not improve if that is not in place. So we are done for the day. 55 minutes. I'm like just short of an hour. I hope you like the live. And I'm gonna leave it on as usual, so you can watch it again. There's gonna be more lives coming up. Again, I'm on YouTube and on Instagram, and it's gonna be from now on this way. If you get tired of Instagram, you can go on YouTube. On both ways. So, guys, thank you so much for watching, for listening. Some of you, made some questions. I couldn't really look at them, but please send me questions if you have. Thank you for listening. I hope you have more sunny days than mine, and love you. And thank you again. Ciao. Bye, YouTubers. Thank you for watching me, and I hope to see you soon again for another live. And love you. Bye. Thank you.